guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you my Booktubeathon wrap-up. I actually did pretty well at Booktubeathon for the first few days, and then I started reading a book that, takes more concentration, so I didn't get all the prompts done. But, I was never planning to read 7 books in a week, and I think I did a pretty good job considering. So let's just get right into the books. Monday, I started and finished The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman, Alexie, and I counted this as the read a book that's about a person that's very different from you prompts. And this is about a young boy, Arnold, who is an Indian, and he was raised on the Indian reservation, the Spokane Indian Reservation in Washington. And when he's 14, he starts high school, and he comes into class the first day and realizes there's no way he's ever going to be successful in life unless he goes to the white school, which is 22 miles away. And no Indian kid's ever gone there, and so he's the first one to go. And so it's about, we start in like August, the first week of school, and then it goes all the way through May. So we see his first year at the white school, and we see his problems, both dealing with people on the Indian reservation and dealing with problems at the white school. For example, his best friend, Rowdy, who is lives on the Indian reservation as well, hates his guts for going to the white school and refuses to talk to him. But then, like at the white school, he has this girl that he has a crush on, and she won't talk to him, and she thinks he's weird. And he also has a few medical problems as well that compound the issues that, he's experiencing. And the reason this book is particularly unique is because it's got drawings in it. So, like, Arnold is a cartoonist, and you get to see his, drawings of people in his life, and like this is one of his teachers, and so he's comparing him to a volcano. And it's just a really fun book, and it's got really cool drawings in it, and I would highly recommend it. It's a YA book, and so it reads very fast, and the print's, sort of big, and like I said, there's a lot of pictures, so the pictures go by really quickly. But I really enjoyed this, and I was glad that I finally read it, and yeah, it's a great book. So I started The Absolutely True Diary like really early on Monday morning because I couldn't sleep, and I finished it in the mid-afternoon because I was off work and I didn't have anything to do. And then after I finished that book, I started Heidi by Johanna Spyri, and Heidi was my book for read a book that you bought just because of the cover, and obviously I bought this Puffin and Bloomfish edition, or rather my mom bought it for me because of the cover and because it's so pretty, and also because of the end papers because they're pretty. And I finished this on Tuesday afternoon, and Heidi is a children's classic. I'd never read it. I had seen the 1990s edition movie with Jason Robards as the grandpa, and in that movie they made grandpa seem like really mean, and in this one he's not really that mean. He's a little gruff, but not particularly mean. This book is about Heidi, who is an orphan, and she's staying with an aunt of hers, and then the aunt gets a new job and needs to give Heidi to someone else, and so she takes Heidi up the mountain, this large mountain in the Alps of Switzerland, and she leaves her with her grandpa, and her grandpa's kind of antisocial and doesn't really hang out with anybody or, interact with anybody. He's kind of scandalous because he doesn't go to church, and so this is about how Heidi changes his life and gets him back into the way of the townspeople. But then, halfway through the book, Heidi is sent to a wealthy family in a bigger town in Germany to be a companion to their invalid daughter, and it's about how she changes that family and how she brings her two families together, and it's just a really sweet book. And I actually really loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I don't know, I just really loved Heidi, and I really loved the description of the mountains. This takes place in the Alps in Switzerland, and I just really loved the Christian message and how it wasn't super shoved down your throat, but it was still there. And I can definitely see myself reading this with my kids someday. And it was just a really great book, and I highly recommend it, actually. I can definitely, like I said, see myself rereading this. And honestly, some of the stars are just for the cover, because it's so pretty. And I just really enjoyed this book overall. Wednesday, I started and finished the A Fine Imitation by Amber Brock, and I love this cover. If you can see, it's got the beautiful shiny cover. This is actually an ARC copy that I got from the ARC table at my work, and I do pretty well with not picking up the ARCs at my work, but the reason I picked this one was because, like, the day before I saw it at the art table, Jenny Cain mentioned it on her channel, and she had given this book 5 stars, and I was like, oh, it's free. Jenny said it was a great book. I'm going to pick it up from the art table. And so I did. And so Wednesday, I once again woke up really early, and I started and finished A Fine Imitation for the Read a Book with a Person on the Cover prompt. And I also finished the Read a Book in One Day prompt, either with this book or with the Absolutely True Diary book. So I did complete, 5 of the 7 prompts, which isn't that bad. So anywho, A Fine Imitation is the story of Vera, and Vera is a wealthy girl who is going to Vassar College, and she's mostly just going because she enjoys school. Her whole goal in life is to marry someone rich and be a proper society wife. So she doesn't really need the education, but she really enjoys going. But she's very, uppity a little bit, and she doesn't have that many friends. And so one day, this girl named Bia comes and sits down by her in one of the lectures, and they become really good friends. But Bia is a little wilder than Vera, and so you see them doing some wild things. And eventually, Vera gets caught out doing wild things, and she and Bia, their friendship sort of explodes because of this incident, because they get in trouble, and Vera's taken away from the school, and things happen. And then we see Vera 10 years after this incident, and she's married and living in New York City in a penthouse, but she's very unhappy, and while she's unhappy, an artist comes to paint the mural in the pool of her apartment building, and it's sort of about how she and this artist start falling in love, and she realizes that she's living a fine imitation of life where she's not happy, and she really needs to do something else with her life. And this is just, your typical historical fiction novel, dual timeline. It's pretty interesting. I only gave it 3 stars because I didn't find it particularly original or, exciting. It was good, but it wasn't, spectacular, in my opinion. But I'm glad I got it off my TBR, because it's been on there since December, and I'm going to take this back to the art table at my library. I then started reading Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan Cain, and I decided to count this as my hyped book because I feel like it's referenced constantly, and this has been on my TBR since January 2014, and I got January 2014 is just when I got active on Booktube, on Goodreads, and so who knows how long this has been on my radar. I first heard about this on Anne Vogel's blog, The Modern Mrs. Darcy, and so she raved about it, and I've heard about it a few other times since then, including in June when I read For the Love by Jen Hatmaker, because this book is referenced in there, and it's just really noticed a really good book and sort of like a game changer book. And I actually have not finished this. I'm filming this on Monday morning, and I'll probably finish this today. I could have finished it during Booktubeathon, but it's such a dense book, and I'm learning a lot. So I didn't want to rush through it just to finish it for Booktubeathon, but I'll finish it today, and it's going to count for the hyped book prompt. And this is a nonfiction book, and as the title says, it's sort of talking about how, in American culture, we, idealize extrovertism. But introverts have a lot to offer too. And she also talks a lot about like business culture and like business, or not business, but like Asian culture and how Asian culture is different than American culture. And she also talks a lot about psychology and various studies that have been done about the power of introverts. And this is a really great book overall, and I would highly recommend it. Everything I read for BookTube, I completed 3 books, and I got through a good chunk of a 4th book. And like I said, I completed 5 of the 7 challenges. The 2 challenges I didn't beat were read a book completely outside. I did check out Namona by Noelle Stevenson for this prop, but I never got to it, and I wasn't really in the mood, so I probably am just going to take it back to the library. And then, of course, the last prop was read 7 books, which I never intended to get to anyway, so it's not that big of a deal that I didn't make it. So anyway, that's my Booktubeathon wrap up. I hope everybody else had a great Booktubeathon if you participated, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!